except when mosquitoes bite me, which has nothing to do with my diet. It has to do with their diet, okay. And why? And I have energy. I do work that requires energy every time. And God has kept me faithfully. And I change climates and environment almost after every 3 months. I'm in a different place. I should be sickly often. But guess what? God is faithful. If you do His will, He will do yours. He will help you. You feel healthy. There's nothing as good as walking every day and feeling healthy. There's nothing as good as that. And I feel it even now. I am just struggling to keep regular with exercise. But God has even blessed me in my unfaithfulness. He is good. He's that good. But if I do better, imagine how better I might feel. You say, but I thought those who don't, they feel weak. The world's strongest man at some time in Germany is a vegan, Patrick Babomian. That guy can lift 555 kgs. And he eats nothing, just he eats greens. Let me leave that one because you look very tensional now. In 1864, Ellen White wrote that tobacco is a poison of the most deceitful and malignant kind. It is all the more dangerous because its effects upon the system are so slow and scarcely perceivable. By that time, the doctors of her day thought that cigarette smoking was a noble thing. In fact, they prescribed it for cancer cure. Yeah, they did. Take 2 puffs a day, you might get better. It took more than 100 years. It was not until 1957, 100 years later, that the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association concluded that smoking was a causative factor in lung cancer. And today, if a doctor did what those doctors had done for those 100 years, they would revoke your license because the evidence is now strong. How did she know ahead of the doctors of her day? Yes, the Holy Spirit had investigated and the spirit of prophecy had seen it. She didn't need to enter those classes to know. What else did Ellen White see? Ellen White predicted the resurgence of the papacy. She predicted that Protestants would join the papacy, and now that is being fulfilled before our eyes. And in order to understand that, it's important to know that in Ellen White's day, America and American Christianity was greatly anti-papal. They saw the papacy as the Antichrist. They wanted to associate not in any way with Vatican. And so America gets its independence in 1876, isn't it? 1776, thank you. But from 1776 to 1984, more than 200 years, or about 200 years, that's the first time they have an ambassador to the Vatican. Why? Why over 200 years of no diplomatic relations? Because they were ever suspicious of the Vatican and their desire to take away freedom of conscience. And so what happened in that year? Ellen White had written. So when Ellen White is writing in the 1800s that American Protestants are going to form a bond with the papacy, how are her people looking at her? Are you crazy? How could we ever do that? In the movements now in progress in the United States, she wrote, to secure for the institutions and usages of the church the support of the state, Protestants are now following in the steps of the papists. Nay, more, they are opening the door for the papacy to do what? To regain in Protestant America, what? The supremacy which he has lost in the old world in Europe. So Ellen White saw that there was progressive development to establish a popery in Protestant America. In 1950, I think so, yes, this guy wrote this story. This was in 1958. If the U.S. becomes 51% Catholic, what would happen? And so he was giving statistics, and he wrote that in less than 200 years of the Roman Church has grown from the smallest denomination in the country to where? To the largest. Ellen White said they were going to gain that popularity. Such a sensational increase in the dimensions of the Roman Catholic community suggests that this faith, Catholicism, may in the foreseeable future become predominant in the United States and attain political and cultural control. The article says on that the Catholic Church is larger than any other single religious institution in the United States. This is now in 2018. Did they achieve it? Oh yes. With over 17,000 parishes that serve a large and diverse population. In spite of its size and influence, the church in the recent decades has faced a number of significant challenges. Allow me to skip that. But do we see that what she predicted is passing? In 2014, something phenomenal and historical happened when the Speaker of the U.S. Congress invites the Pope to come over, and this time not to visit the White House, but to actually have a session, a joint session at the Congress, the lawmaking body in the United States. According to this article of US Today, if the pontiff accepts, this was before he came, it would be unprecedented. That means it had never taken place. It would be the first of its time, because no pope or religious leader that serves as a head of the state has ever addressed what? Congress. According to the U.S. House Historian's Office. Did that invitation take place? Yes. Did the Pope visit America? Yes. Did he address the Congress? Yes, he did. That could not happen 50 years before. Even electing a Catholic president in America was an issue of much doubt, whether he would be faithful to the Vatican or faithful to the principles of the U.S. It has also been said that 6 out of 9 of the Supreme Court judges of the U.S. are of what religion? I think I lost the congregation. Just on my own. It is okay. I lost you, isn't it? These things are not common, isn't it? All right. We are looking backwards to fulfillment of prophecy. We are not speculating the future. We are just looking backwards. Yeah, that guy is okay. They believe in a freedom of conscience. Do as you will. All right. The president that is exiting office today in America is a what? Is a Catholic. And it simply seems today that America is a Catholic country now, as we speak. Ellen White had written that the Protestants of the United States will be foremost. They will be the first in stretching their hands across the gulf to grasp the hand of spiritualism. When the Protestants would read this statement, they would say, never on our dead bodies. We can't. How can we go to the papacy? They will reach over the abyss to clasp hands with the Roman power. And under the influence of the threefold union, this country, America, will follow in the steps of Rome in trampling on the rights of the conscience. 2014 again. The American Protestant pastors, what do they do according to the news? They visit Pope Francis and they lead the Protestants back to what? To Rome. And at that time, that guy on the other end called Kenneth Copeland, not Kenneth Copeland, but there was an Anglican bishop. This is the Kenneth Copeland, the very demonic preacher in America. He literally declared that the protest is over. We are no longer doing what? Protesting. He wondered why there should be Protestants when the Lutheran Church has already signed a joint declaration with the Catholic Church. He wondered. And so they were essentially saying, we are brothers again. The division that had been there for a long time, they now came from division to communion. And they were now on one table, the Protestants and the Catholics together. And it was so social that they were even giving each other a high five. Imagine how far we have come. They are now one. Was she accurate? No, it can't be 5.